All right, this might be a rambling video because it's hard to make a video and think of everything as you do it. So this is a 2001 VTR 1000 or Firestorm. In some parts of the world, Europe, Honda called this a Firestorm. And I'm selling it for $3,000, not sound like a jerk. That's really not negotiable. I don't even care if I sell it. I don't want to sell it, but there's no point in me holding on to it. And the only reason, like I said, this is going to be a rambling video. The only reason why I'm selling this bike is over the weekend. This is August the 4th, by the way. A friend came up and he borrowed a set of leathers to go down to Shubenacadie, and he saw the bike in there beside the Gixxer, which I have to work on. But he said, wow, you still have that VTR? And I said, yeah. Can't ride it anymore because I'm too old and arthritis is getting to me. And he said, man, I'd like to buy that. I said, well, we've talked about it, but I'm not sure I want to go for that price, because he was thinking in his mind around $2,000. I'm just not interested. So guys, if you're looking at this, $3,000 is the price. I will put in a new battery. I'm going to see if this thing's going to start. I just took that off the charger, and even if it does start, I wouldn't trust that battery. So the price, if it does sell, is $3,000, and I'm putting a new battery in. But I bought this bike back in 2016 because I had crazy aspirations of getting back to Shubenacadie on the track, just for track days. Not going to race anymore, but I just couldn't do it. My arthritis was too bad. So I used to go down to Shuby and actually sold everything. I sold my race trailer, my race bike, everything except my leathers and boots and that kind of stuff. And then I had this crazy idea that, well, I should just go buy something and just try it. And the issue is this riding position. If you're a normal person, you know, the bike's going to be fine. You can get on that. And I just took it out for a spin yesterday. And, you know, it was great for 5 minutes, and then it wasn't great. So maybe someone else can enjoy it. And that's really who I'm hoping buys this, is someone that, first of all, understands what this is, because this is a very unique bike. That's not a sales pitch. Check out, see how many of these you see on the marketplace. I've never seen one around town other than mine. So there's a great history to the bike. Back in the 90s, the Italians were coming on strong with V-twins, and Honda and Suzuki. Suzuki also had a V-twin, but this was one of the Honda options. The other was the RC51. But this was designed to compete with the Italians, and look, Honda did a hell of a job. So if you look at the red line on this bike, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So 9,500 RPM. The bike has 55,000 kilometers, by the way. So if you compare that to, like, there's an MT-01. That's a 1700cc V-twin. That's 5,500. Yeah, 5,500 RPM. That's the red line. That's kind of what people think of when they think of V-twins, is something like that, which is, you know, low-end torque. This isn't bad on the low-end torque side, but I mean, once you get her up above 3,000, then it just runs to that red line. But, you know, not that any hooligan should buy something like this, but it's a very light bike. And yes, it's very sporty, but, you know, a lot of guys, especially in Europe, like these Europeans are big on this stuff, is they'll throw on like a tank bag, something like that right there. That's a tank bag, and it goes right up here on the tank. And they'll go on a weekend tour, and they'll be fine with it. I do have the, this is the hard shell that goes like that. And this, by the way, right here, I put, again, thinking I'm going back to the track, I put that Velcro on there because I was going to put my timer, like my transponder right there, so I could record my lap times, but never got there. Pipes, WRP pipes. This sucker is loud. A lot of Harley guys think they're loud. This is loud. These marks here, that's rubber from the boots, because these pipes get so hot. And I mean, you could probably scrape that off, but then you're going to put it right back on again. It's on both sides. The bike, by the way, it's not been on the road since 2018. I bought it in 16. See, I got a little bit over here too. You get passenger pegs, even though you really wouldn't want to put anyone on there. They're just going to ruin your ride. The tires, now here's something I want to talk about. So I put brand new EBC brake pads on it right there. The rears were fine. These are, well, they were brand new Michelin Pilot tires. And there is a thing called date codes on tires. And the rule of thumb is don't go out on tires more than 5 years of age. And the reason being is that rubber has a tendency to dry out and crack and, of course, lose traction. Now, I certainly, these were put on with me thinking I'm going to go down for track days, and these would be awesome for track days. I would not touch these on the track now. They're too old. But for just running around town, you know, scooting down the highway, being responsible, not acting like a hooligan, they're going to be fine. I think, you know, that's up to you. But that's full disclosure. These are 10-year-old tires, but they still feel good. They're not cracked. And you know, I put air pressure back in them yesterday because the bike's been sitting for so long. And this is the great thing about Hondas, or any Japanese bike, not to be disrespectful to any other brands. I like all motorcycles. I have a BMW coming, which is why this is up for sale. Or one of the reasons it's up for sale is I'm thinking, geez, like, do I really need another bike in here? And again, I would really like to see someone enjoy this. But it's a very light machine. You know, it's powerful in its own way. It's not like a modern 600 will just run this into the ground. But that's not who I really want to buying this. I want someone like me who can appreciate it. It's an air-cooled V-twin. Look up the history on this bike. It is stonked with history. And as I started to say and probably forgot, you know, when I fired it up yesterday, by the way, all my machines, whether it be a motorcycle or a lawnmower or a snowblower, they all get stable, put in the gas tank, which is why the gas that's in this tank, which is probably 10 years old, fired right up. You know, if you ever wonder if the gas is good, if you lift up the lid, stick your nose in there, if it smells like paint, it's toast. It's bad, and it's probably messed up your carburetors. That's interesting too, by the way. This bike at the time had the largest carburetors ever put on a stock motorcycle. I think there were 46, there might have been 48 McCuneys. But that's the other thing. That leads me into another thing to discuss about this bike, which I really love. And again, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. If the right guy comes along and wants it, I'd love to sell it, you know, at the 3,000, not 2,800, not 2,200, not 2,000. So I don't want to play those games. That's why I'm being so upfront about it. This is a machine. This is not a phone. There are no electronics on this bike. You know, that's unbelievable, right? Like even the choke. The choke is right here. I bet you there's a lot of people out there today that don't even know what a choke is. I'm dead serious. Because why would a 20-something-year-old rider even know what a choke is, or how it works, or what a carburetor is? They would have no reason to know that stuff. And these were, you know, and this is, you know, my historical self talking. You know, the old bikes, you needed to live with them and love them. And you know, I remember the magazines all talking back in the 70s that, oh my God, this thing is fuel injected. And the first one I read about was a Kawasaki. It was one of those Kawasaki cruiser type bikes back in the 70s, the LTD series. And it was, I think it was the 1100 LTD. It had liquid cooled, had fuel injection. And they were all raving about it. And, you know, I mean, before that, you would have to, you know, you pull out the choke, you start it up, let it idle high. I'll start it up here in a second, or try to. I hope that battery's good. And you know, and then ease your choke off as the engine warms up, you know. And you know, it can be a bit jerky at first. You know, that's all part of the fun of riding with a carburetor, which is why people say fuel injection is so good. It's because it's so smooth. And it is. You know, those two bikes are fuel injected, and that Beamer that I've got coming, I mean, that's so friggin' complicated. The electronics on that bike actually kind of scare me because it's a 16 and it is electronics everywhere. And I've had the experience of having a car, actually. I owned a car about 20 years ago that, oh my God, like it was out of warranty and we just chased sensor after sensor after sensor forever. You know, and that kind of thing can happen, but you're not going to have that on an old bike like this. You know, it's just, even this throttle, this is not throttle by wire, that's throttle by cable. You hear that? That's a cable going right down to that Mikuni. So, let's see if she'll start. Where's my choke at? Can't see. Oh, I've already got it pulled out. Okay, good. And again, I don't know if this is going to start or not. Yeah, it will. I'm not going to let that run because I'm indoors and got the dog. She's not happy. She just ran outside when that thing started. But oh my God, this thing howls. Just amazing. And I wish I was a young man again, but I'm not. And if you're interested in this bike at my price, I'll be very happy to talk to you. Unfortunately, and I'm going to insist on this, no test rides. I'll ride it, but I've been riding motorcycles since I was 14. That's almost 50 years. I'm 63 and a half. And you learn some things over the years. And the guy that hasn't got cash in his hand, who shows up and wants to take a spin on your bike, once he drops it, it's fuck you, Charlie, I'm out of here. And that's not going to happen here. So again, if you think you can dig with the amount, $3,000, and you like the bike for what it is, and it is an awesome machine for what it is, I would love to talk to you and put this into the hands of someone that can actually enjoy it.